your boy, Simon Phoenix. This is Shots Fired. What up? What up? What up?
What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? Another fun-filled, action-packed episode of Shots Fired, Sunday Night Rant. And if you don't know how we do things here, let me explain. So normally people send me a email to Shots Fired Podcast, or you can find me on Facebook as Simon Phoenix, Twitter, Instagram. Go there, put a question or a statement or a thought that you would like to hear me talk my shit to, and then we do what we do here best, right? So let's get into it. So today's question is very interesting to me, and it goes as such. Hey, Simon Phoenix, are you familiar with the Netflix program, The Toys That Made Us? There's one about HeMan. Did you see that? Super interesting. What's your thoughts if you have? So I actually have watched that program. It's basically a breakdown of all of these different popular toy brands and how much bread they was making when they were at their peak, and what people speculate may have stopped that brand from continuing on. And so when you talk about HeMan, and I've had a couple conversations about HeMan, I'm a huge HeMan fan. Anybody who knows me knows that I mess with HeMan, and it's going to get gangster. So let me have one of my favorite villains of all time tell you how I really am.
Listen, I am not nice, I am not kind, and I am not wonderful.
That being said by the great Skeletor from HeMan, one of my favorite villains all time. Like, he's like in my top 10. I like him more because he talks so much trash. Go to YouTube. You want to be entertained, go to YouTube and listen to Skeletor insults. Oh my goodness. The man goes bananas. Now, I have watched this program. I've watched it, and my thoughts is really, really messed up, but I can explain, right? So if you have not seen this documentary, it gives a breakdown about HeMan and how HeMan rose up at its peak in 1986 to make closely somewhere upward of $460 million. Now, even in today's time, a lot of toys would love to do that as this the end of the year, we made 400 million. A lot of toy brands would love to be in that predicament. But this is 1986, so that is some billion type dollars. If you do for inflation, they probably made a couple billion off of that at that time. I would easily say maybe close to probably $10 billion in that time period. But that's just my guesstimation, so don't take that as a fact. But the fall of HeMan, it was more the interesting thing. So I'm going to say the most dirtbaggy thing I can say to you, and it's going to piss someone off. And like I said, I'm going to piss somebody off. I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm just pointing it out because this is bad management. So the most dirtbaggy thing I can say is this: women killed HeMan. You heard me right. Women killed HeMan. Let that soak in for a second. Okay, y'all ready? All right, let me give it to you. Now, shout out to another YouTube program that I watched, Midnight's Edge. I want to say a couple weeks back, they discussed HeMan, and they've been discussing HeMan several times. So I want to give a shout out to them. If you want a intelligent, in-depth breakdown of this kind of stuff. They do it all the time. They're going to do it way better than I am. And they're not going to point the finger like I am right now directly at women. But I am. Told you I was a dirtbag. Today's that dirtbag moment. I'm going to explain why, though. So for those of you who are like, man, well, tell us why women ruined He-Man. Well, let's get into it. So what happened over at Mattel is Mattel had an idea for this barbarian toy because they wanted to get into competition with Kenner and Star Wars. Now, Kenner lucked up because a lot of other toy companies had Star Wars come to them and say, hey, you should make toys for us. And they was like, get out of here. George Lucas kick rocks. And no one knew how fantastic Star Wars was going to be. Now, what Star Wars did is something that was new in the toy era. For that time period, toys before the Star Wars toy came out was made in the image of Barbie. Now, what I mean is these were big dolls, and toy companies like Amigo had the market so where you could get a doll, it looked like your favorite action hero, or the old school G.I. Joe toys. Same size, right? If you were a kid during that time period, your sister had a Barbie, your man doll was bigger than a Barbie, but he had all the same type of accessories that Barbie would, backpacks, few little vehicles, because the toy was so big. Now, this is where Kenner had a fantastic idea. They said, you know what? The money ain't in the figures. The money is in the vehicles. So Kenner decided to make a smaller toy. And this smaller toy enabled Kenner to sell vehicles and play sets. And Kenner was making a killing. So Mattel looked over and said, I can't believe they over there getting this money. We need to get some of this money too. What we gonna do? So at the time they were running through ideas and they wanted to do some spaceman stuff. And they wanted, maybe then they had an idea about doing Conan because they had a deal where they could have did Conan, but they decided not. They had some mock-ups of a toy for the Conan. So they kind of looked at the toy. They was like, it's nice. Maybe we should just throw some more muscles on them, right? And so they went through some things. And then someone else had another bright idea and said, you know what? We got this toy, to be cool. Our boy over there, Mr. Ronald Reagan, then just said that we can have toys connected to kids programming. I say we make a cartoon. That'd be like a 30-minute commercial. What? That's a great idea. So onward they went. Now, at the time, they didn't know He-Man was going to pop. He-Man was going to blow up. So the first year of He-Man, they did pretty good. Second year of He-Man, they did really good. By the third year of He-Man, people were taking notice. The industry itself was paying attention. But not only was the industry paying attention, but the girls division in Mattel was paying attention. Now, here's where it gets sticky. The women's division seen that they were over there getting this money, getting these accolades. And at no time over at Mattel had the boys division outsold the girls. They had never had that happen. And they were up in the uproar over there trying to figure out what was going on. At the same time, Hasbro's deal with Filmation had them discussing the possibility of maybe bringing on a female character because Mattel had noticed that girls were getting intrigued by He-Man. It was girls that were buying the Tila doll. And normally what happens when there's a boy-centric toy, girls don't really get involved too much. Now, people will always say, well, yeah, you got your tomboys, or you have girls that get into it because they have a favorite character. And I would say, yes, this is true. And girls like those kind of shows and programs too. So it is what it is. But for all intents and purposes, everyone knew this was a boys' toy. It was ran by the men's division over there at Mattel. And so sooner or later, the plan being kicked around about, yo, we need to get a girl over here. Let's do it. But the women said, you know what? We want to run this. And so the men were like, no, everything that is involved with She-Ra needs to be controlled by us. When we're like, no, we know girls best. You don't know nothing. Mind your business. And one of the first things the women said was to make the She-Ra toy the same size as Barbie. And the men's division was like, no, how is the little boy who was sitting at home watching HeMan, who then says, I want a She-Ra because that's his sister. I want to have some interaction with that. I got a Hordak toy. How's she going to be bigger than the villain? The women fought them, but the men eventually won. Now I'm going to stop right there. What kind of logic is that? To make a toy line and try to have the girl's toy tower over her adversary. What logical sense would that make? Somebody help me. Somebody please help me. That just sounds like some stupid, you already know. So, but the women said, we must have this doll be in the energy of a Barbie. The men division again said, no, this should not be. Because when you do that, it is going to throw off the line. The women fought them and said, no, girls would want to play with this toy's hair and it must have real hair. The dolls must be able to be accessorized. The men again said, no, this is not going to work. You are going to ruin what we have going here. Please stop it. But because of Mattel's silliness, I would say. See, Mattel trying to play the game of let's make the women executives happy shot themselves in the foot. See, Mattel gave too much power to these women who had nothing to do with this success. This is why women destroyed HeMan. Because if you didn't have anything to do with it, if you did not make it famous, then you are riding off the coattails of what the men did while simultaneously trying to change it. But you did not understand the core audience. You did not understand the true fan base. See, the real fan base was little boys at home playing with their HeMan toys. They were the ones who were pushing this movement. Mind you, I said in 86, they got to $400 million. This was off the backs of little boys begging for these toys, not because of the girl toys making this much of a push. See, what the women didn't understand was their toy line didn't even do well. And Mattel not paying attention to what was going on did not have full control of She-Ra because they had a different type of rights deal set up with Filmation. They did not control that. Now we understand that now, going through the fiasco with Marvel, having the X-Men over here at Fox, and how Marvel had to work very hard to get all of their property back. This is what Mattel wants to do with She-Ra, because now Mattel has to pay to use something that initially they came up with. It was part of their universe, and now they got to pay somebody else based on their hubris and allowing the Barbie team of ladies to get involved in HeMan. See, these ladies did not understand at all the fan base. Now we continue on with the fall, because by the time we get around to the HeMan Christmas special, Mattel was like, we can sustain HeMan without HeMan the cartoon. We will let She-Ra drive the ship. The ladies push for this to happen. Now, this too is a bad move. Now, why is this a bad move? It's very obvious why, to a male, why this would be a bad move. But let me break it down for those that's in the back that might not get it. See, anytime you take a toy that has been purposed for young men, pushed for little boys to play with, then that toy brand can never be pushed over to be controlled, to have the lead person be now a girl. I know you're going to tell me it's sexist. I know you're going to tell me that that's what's wrong with the world now, that we're misogynistic and this is that, some more of that BS. But ladies, let me explain to you why this does not work. Because for boys, you are looking for the hero to see yourself. And you do not find that connection with the opposite sex most of the time. Sometimes you do, based on their heritage. But 9 out of 10 shot, you can put a room full of boys with any hero being any race and the hero doing spectacularly dope shit. The boys will connect to say, I would like to be like him. This theory was made true with the Black Panther movie because it was such a phenomenal movie that you had kids of all races pretending that they want to be the Black Panther. So the race thing doesn't really do it, but the sexual identity does. And that's just what it is. And I apologize for some people who don't like that, but it is what it is. So when you have that going on and you have these young boys now seeing She-Ra as a fully on girl thing, the packaging for the toys is super pink, does not look like it belongs to HeMan. The figures don't match up with HeMan. If you go get a toy from the She-Ra original line that is a male and put it next to a male HeMan character, it looks night and day. The HeMan character looks like he is on steroids, and the She-Ra character looks like he's never seen the gym. So where is your interplay? Because if you're a little boy, you don't want to play with the She-Ra dude. He weak. That's how you're going to see him. That's how you're going to perceive it. So there's going to be no reason for you to want to play with that toy. Now, some people would say, well, you know, the women doing that HeMan had the writing on the wall, the bubble was going to burst sooner or later. I would say not as fast. I would say you cannot blame it on the live action movie as much as it was hot garbage. That ain't the fall of HeMan for real. And this again is what I like to call when you allow people to drive the bus who do not care. It was easily understood by me by watching that documentary that the women were truly in their feelings and wanted to be in competition. That's it. And they wanted it to be known that they were not going to allow this group of men to best them. And they destroyed HeMan. And Mattel fumbled the bag. And the real understanding of it is this. As a grown man, I fondly remember this time period, and I will say to you that everything I said to you is 100% how I felt as a kid. I walked away from HeMan based on the fact that it became all about She-Ra. And therefore, it was not for me any longer. I slid over like most kids did to more Transformers, more G.I. Joe, and then into sports and video games. Because I'll be damned if I got to buy a Barbie to go with my HeMan. I'm good. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with having female characters. And there's nothing wrong with someone of another gender going to that toy line and saying, hey, I like that toy line and I want to buy it. Who am I to tell you not to do that? But from a business point of view, you do not go to the fan base and tell them you don't care. We want to sell to girls. Because that's essentially what you did. That's what you did to little boys. And that's why the $400 million dried up. When you stopped airing HeMan, that's why it dried up. When you decided that you weren't going to release new HeMan toys in the 87 line, at the end of the 86 line, when you decided there was going to be no new HeMan toy, no new Skeletor toy, and the last toy that you gave us was a Skeletor that had these basically cat claws on him. Yeah, you allowed that brand to die based on you thought it could just go forever because we'll just give the kids whatever. They'll accept whatever. This happens all the time. Sooner or later, someone who is not passionate about said thing that is making buku bucks gets control of it and says, y'all don't know what y'all like. I'll give you whatever the hell I want to give you and you will accept it. And this is that. It was done to kids, and so no one really paid attention until you started talking about the money. Soon as someone tells you that HeMan made $40 million one year, then turned around another year and made $100 million, and then turned around and made $200 million, and then turned around and made $400 million, and then just fell off a cliff. Yeah. Somebody's going to try to figure out what happened so they won't repeat that thing again. And it's what it is. This is exactly what it is. You have done this. And like I said, if you don't believe me, watch the documentary and pay attention to the ladies and how they explain why they wanted to be a part of it. That should tell you everything you need to know after listening to me. You're going to be like, damn. I see exactly what he's talking about. Like, you should have stayed in your lane and you should have mind your business. Period. Well, that's my breakdown on it. I had, like I said, I had watched it and I initially thought that when I watched it, and I had to rewatch it just to make sure I wasn't tripping. So that's my breakdown. I do have some sidebar news, right? I got a little sidebar news, but because I was long-winded on the first half, let's sneak some commercials in, and then I'll give you the long-winded news, and then we'll give you the joint of the day, and we get up out of here. All right.
Hey, are you tired of having that upset stomach, that bubbly guts feeling? Then I need you to get with Tyrones Gas X. That's right, Tyrones Gas X is known to stop upset stomach, farting, wet farting, hard farting, bubble guts, squishy guts, and the runs.
Please use as directed. Side effects may be hair loss, weakness of jawline, weakness of pull-out game, lip dick, and pimples.
Tyrones Gas X. Stop you from having that shitty feeling.
Brought to you by Mind Bender Incorporated in association with Ashy Radio.
Stock the bar vodka made right here in Michigan, distilled from Michigan red winter wheat. The red winter wheat provides this drink with one of the smoothest flavors known to man. Stock the bar vodka, premium quality. Our motto is smooth taste with a purpose. And now, the official sponsor of Shots Fired Podcast. Stock the bar vodka. Pour up a glass. Drink with a purpose.
Yeah, you know what it is. Shots Fired Podcast popping.
Welcome back to Shots Fired with Simon Phoenix.
So, I do have some rather good news, or what I would think would be good news. So, let Let me hit my drink. Let me hit my drink one time. Ooh, I couldn't stop from coughing. Did everything I could. Couldn't stop from coughing. Okay. Apologize for all of that. But you know me, I don't edit nothing. So now, the good news is we have finally found a space. Damn, feels good. So, hopefully in the next month, we will be able to relaunch the YouTube with video. Yippee skippy. You can look at my ugly mug. Yay for you. But yes, that will hopefully be happening like the end of February. Fingers crossed we don't run into any more potholes, crazy shit happening, equipment breaking, computers blowing up. Y'all know how crazy this shit is.
Half-wits, bunglers, brainless idiots. You couldn't even beat a motley group of gnomes.